You didn't click on this video by accident. Your future self sent this call. The air shifts as these words land. The viewer is pulled into an atmosphere of mystery, synchronicity, and inevitability. The algorithm becomes nothing more than a courier, a messenger delivering a signal from beyond time. What truly drew them here wasn't curiosity, wasn't coincidence. It was a resonance field stretching backward, carrying the vibration of a self already living the life they long for. In this instant, logic loses its grip, and the soul leans in. The viewer is positioned not as a casual observer, but as someone chosen, someone standing on the edge of remembering who they are. Picture this, the waiting room of destiny. A space where you feel ready yet restrained, like an archer with the bow fully drawn, breath held, muscles trembling, but never releasing the arrow. That tension, that feeling of almost changing, almost arriving, almost understanding, isn't weakness. It's the universal contraction before expansion, the silent proof that transformation is building. Everyone has felt it. Mornings filled with invisible weight, nights heavy with longing. And this video is not an external answer, it's an inner activation. Your future self is breaking through the static, tuning your body as an antenna, whispering, "The wait is over, the signal is here." Most people don't realize it, but there's a constant silent battle happening inside them. Logic is loud, rigid, and obsessed with control. Intuition, on the other hand, whispers through signals, subtle resonance, and sudden contractions in the body that feel almost unexplainable. Logic says, "Prove it," while intuition says, "Trust it." Your future self never sends you spreadsheets or blueprints. It sends frequencies wrapped in coincidence, in a book that falls off a shelf, in a stranger's words that feel oddly familiar. Ignoring those whispers is like turning off the radio, just as the message you've been waiting for is about to play. I remember a moment when I had to make a choice that didn't make sense at all. My rational mind screamed, "Don't do it, it's too risky." But my breath slowed, my chest expanded, and something in my body tuned itself like an antenna. A wave of presence washed over me, and my intuition pulsed like a quiet signal. Go. No evidence, no coherence according to logic, just a vibration I couldn't shake off. I surrendered, not because I had proof, but because I trusted that this resonance field was carrying me towards something my eyes couldn't see yet. What happened next was almost impossible to explain with logic. The moment I aligned with that whisper, events started to shift. People I needed appeared out of nowhere. Opportunities unfolded, as if the universe had been waiting for me to tune into the right station. It felt like contraction turning into expansion, static dissolving into clarity. That decision became a transformation point, proving that the body, when used as an antenna of the soul, catches signals from a quantum field already holding the blueprint of our divine path. Think about how the body reacts when you try to overanalyze everything. The breath becomes shallow, the shoulders tighten, and the mind spirals into static. That's logic trying to overrule resonance. But when you pause, close your eyes, and give attention to your breath, something shifts. Presence awakens, coherence returns, and intuition comes back online. It doesn't yell, it doesn't demand, it simply radiates trust. Like a musician tuning an instrument, you feel the frequency align, and suddenly the world outside begins to mirror that harmony. Let's be honest, most people dismiss intuition as randomness, yet the universe keeps sending signals through small alignments. Have you ever bumped into someone you hadn't seen in years, only to discover they had exactly what you needed at that time? That wasn't chance, it was a resonance field at work. The future self is always communicating, but the mind, addicted to logic, labels it coincidence. Recognizing the difference is sovereignty. It's choosing to see the divine patterns hidden inside what looks like chaos. And here's the paradox. Intuition feels irrational, but it's the most advanced technology your soul possesses. Logic is useful, but it was built to analyze the past. Intuition tunes you into possibilities not yet visible, pulling you into transformation. It's like contraction before expansion, the moment before the breath is released. To trust that whisper is to embody coherence before evidence shows up. Your future self doesn't guide you with certainty, it guides you with vibration, asking you to surrender control and trust the unseen. Of course, that trust is uncomfortable. It challenges the ego, which craves guarantees. Yet every time you choose intuition over fear, you strengthen your alignment. You step deeper into your own sovereignty, becoming a living antenna tuned to frequencies beyond logic. And when coherence rises within, the external world responds with doors, signals, and synchronicities. It's not magic, it's resonance. The soul knows what the mind resists. Life isn't waiting for you to calculate, it's waiting for you to listen. Here's the secret most overlooked. When you begin to honor intuition, the signals don't just guide your path, they connect you to others vibrating at the same field. Suddenly, you're not wandering aimlessly. You're being drawn into a resonance field where your presence matters. But that opens up another question. What happens when both logic and intuition broadcast at the same time, and you can't tell which frequency you're tuned into? Imagine turning on an old radio. If you're tuned slightly off, all you hear is static. That's exactly what happens when logic and intuition play at the same time. The ego cranks the volume up, while your future self whispers softly beneath the noise. The result is confusion, doubt, paralysis. You feel pulled in two directions. One says, play it safe, the other says, leap. The battle isn't about which one is real, it's about which frequency you choose to align with. Presence, attention, and coherence decide what you actually hear. Think about daily life. You're deciding whether to text someone back, apply for a job, or take a new route home. The logical voice starts listing reasons, risks, and possible failures. Meanwhile, intuition offers just a subtle contraction in the gut or a small spark of resonance in the chest. If you listen only to logic, you may stay stuck in patterns that feel safe but lifeless. But if you surrender to that quiet signal, the body becomes an antenna guiding you into alignment. Everyday choices reveal whether you're tuned into static or coherence. Consider relationships. You meet someone and logic says, this person looks perfect on paper. Yet intuition keeps whispering, something's off. Months later, you realize the red flags were there all along. Or maybe it's the opposite. Logic insists, don't waste your time. But your soul feels a divine vibration pulling you closer. Many of life's biggest transformations are born in these moments where you choose which station to trust. That's how the resonance field of your future self starts shaping reality before logic can explain it. Work is another clear example. You may get offered a job that pays well, looks stable, and checks every box. Logic screams, yes, but intuition contracts in your chest, almost like the breath doesn't flow. That's not random. That's your body signaling misalignment. On the flip side, you might feel called to start a project that looks crazy from the outside, but your whole being vibrates with energy when you think about it. Logic calls it reckless. Intuition calls it expansion. Which signal you follow determines whether you stagnate or transform. Even small decisions carry this pattern. Imagine you're grocery shopping and suddenly feel pulled to pick up a book from the small shelf near the counter. Logic laughs. You didn't come here for that. But you buy it anyway. Later, a single sentence in that book shifts your perspective, helping you embody coherence in a way you never expected. That wasn't an accident. It was your future self tuning you into the right station, using the most ordinary setting. That's how divine guidance hides in plain sight. Think about how often we drown intuition in noise. The phone pings, the TV blares, the mind races through endless what-ifs. It's like trying to hear a soft melody in the middle of construction work. Attention is the dial. When you bring your awareness back to breath, presence, and the subtle sensations in the body, the static begins to clear. That's when intuition, the true frequency, comes alive. Without that tuning, you're just switching stations endlessly, never hearing the music. Here's a practice you can try today. Pause right now and ask yourself, which station am I tuned into? Notice your breath, the contraction or expansion in your body, and the quality of your thoughts. If it feels heavy, noisy, and restless, you're stuck in the ego's broadcast. If it feels light, coherent, and quietly confident, you're aligned with intuition. You don't need hours of meditation. Even a minute of intentional attention can shift the signal. That's sovereignty in action. But here's the catch. Sometimes the ego's volume doesn't go down easily. It keeps shouting, demanding evidence, replaying fears. That's when people think intuition isn't working. Yet the whisper hasn't disappeared. It's just waiting for you to choose silence over static. And once you do, the resonance field changes everything. Which brings up the next question. What if the discomfort you're feeling isn't a sign of failure, but the very signal that you're already stepping into transformation? Feeling lost, exhausted, or disconnected doesn't mean you're failing. It often means you're in the middle of transformation. Think about a caterpillar. Before becoming a butterfly, it dissolves completely inside a cocoon. From the outside, it looks like death. Inside, however, the old form is breaking down so a higher expression can be embodied. Humans go through the same process. What feels like collapse, static, contraction, even chaos, may actually be the resonance field of your future self, preparing you for expansion. Daily life shows this more often than we admit. That season when work feels meaningless, when relationships fall apart, or when your body seems to resist everything. It's easy to label it as failure. Yet just like the caterpillar, your soul is reorganizing energy. Coherence is being built in silence. The body is an antenna adjusting to a new frequency, one that logic cannot yet decode. The discomfort isn't punishment. It's presence demanding your attention, asking you to trust the unseen. Think about heartbreak. At first it feels like a cruel contraction, as if the breath has been stolen from you. Logic says you've lost. But over time, that very rupture creates space for deeper alignment, for new resonance. Many people look back and say, that pain was divine. Without it, I would have never found the path I'm on now. The same goes for losing a job or missing an opportunity. What appears as collapse is often transformation disguised as chaos. Even health struggles carry this paradox. When your body forces you to stop, to breathe, to surrender control, it's not just weakness, it's wisdom. The body, as antenna, signals when energy is misaligned. Burnout, illness, or fatigue can be invitations from the soul to tune back into presence. In the middle of contraction, the future self is whispering, slow down, trust this pause, transformation is unfolding. The challenge is resisting the urge to label the dark cocoon as defeat. It helps to reframe. Instead of saying, I'm falling apart, try asking, what is trying to be born through me? That simple shift in attention changes everything. The resonance field becomes less about loss and more about divine reorganization. Expansion rarely feels comfortable at first. It feels like surrender. And yet, surrender is the doorway to sovereignty. The future self never rushes, it aligns. The static of the breakdown is simply the tuning before the music of coherence begins to play. Everyday examples confirm this. Think about moving to a new city. At first, you feel lonely, disconnected, even doubtful. But slowly, new people, new rhythms, and new opportunities show up. That discomfort was the price of resonance. Or take the example of learning a skill. You struggle, make mistakes, feel clumsy. That's the cocoon stage. Then suddenly one day it clicks. What once felt impossible now feels embodied. Transformation always has a season of chaos before coherence. Humor helps too. Imagine explaining to a caterpillar that soon it'll grow wings and fly. It would probably panic. Are you insane? I'm dissolving. That's us during transformation, freaking out while the soul calmly knows what's next. The divine doesn't see failure, it sees unfolding. The contraction is proof that expansion is on its way. The breath teaches the same lesson. You must release before you inhale again. Every breakdown carries the promise of breakthrough. And here's where it gets deeper. What if every moment of feeling stuck, tired, or broken is not the end of your story, but the secret signal that your future self has already initiated change? What if the chaos you're experiencing is simply the antenna of your soul, adjusting to a higher frequency that you haven't fully tuned into yet? If your future self is always broadcasting, then the question becomes, how do you tune your antenna to actually hear it? Logic will try to build towers of proof, but intuition needs silence and presence. The body itself is the receiver. Breath, resonance, attention, and coherence are the wires that connect you to the signal. When the ego screams in static, these practices bring you back into alignment. They're not about forcing the future, but preparing the field so you can trust what's already arriving. The first antenna is the breath. Try the 3-6-9 rhythm. Inhale for 3, hold for 6, exhale for 9. This simple practice calms the nervous system and brings the body back into coherence. With each cycle, contraction gives way to expansion, static gives way to signal. In that quiet space, the whisper of your intuition becomes audible. You may not get words, but you'll feel vibration, a subtle resonance field pulling you closer to the presence of your future self. The second antenna is writing. Grab a journal and ask, what would my future self do right now? Then surrender control. Don't edit, don't analyze, just let the pen move. At first it feels silly, but what flows often surprises you. A sentence, an image, an unexpected clarity emerges. That's not fantasy, it's embodiment. You're bypassing the noisy station of logic and tuning into a deeper frequency. Over time, these notes become a map of transformation, showing the alignment you didn't know you already carried. The third antenna is gratitude, but not the passive kind. Before you sleep, close your eyes and name 3 things you're grateful for, then feel them vibrate in your body. Let your breath expand with each memory until your chest glows with energy. This practice shifts your frequency overnight, tuning your subconscious like an antenna, pointing toward coherence. When you wake up, you're not just reacting to life, you're resonating with the divine field your soul has already prepared. Think about how practical this is. Imagine starting your day scrolling through the phone. The ego station blares static, filling your body with contraction before you've even gotten out of bed. Now imagine instead beginning with 3 deep breaths, a short note to your future self, and 1 act of gratitude. The difference is enormous. One path scatters your attention, the other amplifies your sovereignty. One leaves you in static, the other aligns you with the signal of transformation. These antennas don't require hours or complicated rituals. They only ask for presence. Breath can be practiced in line at the grocery store. Writing can take 5 minutes before coffee. Gratitude can happen on the commute, whispered silently. It's not about adding more tasks to your day. It's about tuning into the resonance field that's already there. The divine signal doesn't need effort, it needs space. You create that space through simple, embodied acts of attention. What's powerful is how quickly life responds. You practice breath, and suddenly conversations flow with more coherence. You write to your future self, and decisions that felt heavy become light. You express gratitude, and opportunities begin to align without strain. These aren't coincidences, they're the resonance of your soul echoing outward. The body is the antenna, but the field is collective. Each signal you honor shapes the vibration of everything around you. And yet, these practices raise a deeper realization. Sometimes the most powerful signals arrive not in peace, but in chaos. What if the disruptions, the breakdowns, and the sudden endings are also antennas, louder, more urgent ways your future self pulls you back into alignment? Sometimes the most powerful signals from your future self arrive wrapped in what looks like disaster. A breakup, a job loss, a sudden health scare. These feel like collapse, contraction, and chaos. Logic screams, something's wrong. But if you listen closely, beneath the static is a signal pulling you into alignment. Chaos often acts like a divine reset, stripping away what no longer resonates so you can embody what does. Transformation doesn't always knock politely. Sometimes it kicks the door wide open. I remember losing something I thought I couldn't live without. At first, my breath was shallow, my body heavy, my presence shattered. But slowly I realized the rupture was a redirection. That loss created space for new people, new frequencies, and coherence I had never felt before. It was as if my soul had been whispering, "Trust me," and I refused. So the universe turned up the volume. The future self often uses chaos as a louder antenna when we ignore the softer signals. Think about relationships. You hold on even when you know it's not aligned. Static grows louder, intuition contracts, but logic insists, stay, it's safer. Then one day, everything collapses. Painful, absolutely. But months later, you look back and see it clearly. That ending was divine alignment. Without it, you never would have expanded. The resonance field had to shift, and chaos was the only way to tune your life back into coherence. Careers show the same pattern. Maybe you're forced out of a job you thought defined you. At first, it feels like betrayal. Yet that very rupture pushes you toward work that lights up your intuition, energizes your body, and restores presence. The chaos wasn't punishment. It was a transformation point. The ego wanted stability, but the soul demanded sovereignty. In hindsight, the collapse was not random static. It was a signal too strong to ignore. Money is another example. Losing it can feel terrifying, a contraction that shakes your trust. But for many, that moment becomes the catalyst for learning sovereignty, realizing that security is vibration, not just numbers. People discover new skills, start businesses, or create alignment with passions they had ignored. Chaos becomes the breath that clears out what was stale, making space for divine coherence to flow again. It's the painful but necessary expansion hidden in contraction. Even health crises can carry this hidden signal. The body, as antenna, sometimes has to break patterns dramatically. A diagnosis, an injury, or burnout forces you to pause, to surrender, to realign your attention. At first, it feels like betrayal by the body, but often it's the exact call needed to restore coherence and remind you of the frequency of presence. The future self uses even pain as an amplifier to broadcast, something greater is waiting. The irony is that chaos, the thing we resist most, often brings us closer to transformation than comfort ever could. Comfort breeds static, predictable, repetitive, safe. Chaos strips illusions away, revealing the raw vibration of the soul. If you trace back your most meaningful expansions, you'll often find they were born in seasons of rupture. The divine uses endings as openings, contraction as the path to expansion. And this begs the question, if chaos reflects alignment in disguise, then what about the reality we see every day? Could it be nothing more than a mirror, showing us the frequency we're already broadcasting from within? What you see outside is not random. It's a mirror reflecting the frequency you're broadcasting inside. The world doesn't respond to what you wish for. It resonates with what you are. If your body carries contraction, if your breath is shallow, if your attention is scattered, life mirrors static back to you. But when you embody coherence, presence, and alignment, the mirror shifts. Your future self already lives in that vibration. The only barrier is the outdated image you keep projecting. Think about mornings. If you wake up rushing, scrolling, and drowning in noise, the whole day mirrors that chaos back. People cut you off in traffic, emails pile up, nothing flows. But if you start with breath, gratitude, or writing, your field shifts. Suddenly, conversations are smoother, opportunities feel aligned, and even strangers reflect kindness. The resonance field outside always matches the coherence inside. It's not philosophy, it's everyday transformation. Relationships reveal this mirror most clearly. If you feel unworthy inside, you attract people who confirm that story. If you vibrate trust and sovereignty, you draw partners who resonate with that energy. Many blame the external world for toxic patterns, but the soul whispers, "Look within." Attention becomes the tuning dial. When you shift your inner frequency, the mirror can't help but reflect a new reality. Your future self is already modeling this alignment. You just need to catch up. Money works the same way. If you carry scarcity in your body, opportunities slip away, no matter how hard you chase them. But when you embody abundance, not by wishing, but by trusting and acting in alignment, the mirror responds. Suddenly, the right client calls or a new job appears. It's not luck, it's resonance. The static dissolves the moment your frequency shifts. Coherence in the field reorganizes life around you. Your future self never waits. It already lives in this abundance. Health is another mirror. Stress, shallow breath, constant contraction, all show up externally as fatigue, illness, or accidents. But when you surrender into presence, when you tune into the antenna of your body with care, the mirror changes. Energy flows differently. You feel lighter. Even your posture radiates a new vibration, and people notice. The reflection you see in others, smiles, warmth, openness, becomes proof that your internal alignment has shifted. Transformation begins in the invisible, but it shows up visibly. Here's a practical exercise. Write as if you're already living the life of your future self. Describe your mornings, your relationships, your work, your health in detail. Let your breath deepen as you write. This isn't fantasy, it's tuning. By aligning your inner field with the reality you desire, you prime the mirror to reflect coherence instead of static. Over time, you'll notice subtle signals, tiny synchronicities that confirm the reflection is already shifting. That's resonance in action. Humor helps too. Ever notice how when you're in a bad mood, even the toaster seems to conspire against you? That's not the universe being cruel, it's just a mirror. The static inside makes the outside look distorted. Flip the signal, and suddenly the same world feels softer, brighter, more divine. The sovereignty to choose your frequency is the most powerful tool you have. Every reflection is feedback, not punishment. The question is, what are you broadcasting right now? And that leads us to a larger truth. If your personal field is always mirrored back to you, then every individual tuning into their future self is not only transforming their own life, but also reshaping the collective mirror we all share. Every personal awakening doesn't stay personal. It ripples outward. When you align with your future self, when you embody coherence instead of static, your vibration enters the resonance field we all share. This is the collective mirror. Your breath, your presence, your surrender to intuition may feel small, but it shifts the energy around you. Imagine dozens, then thousands, then millions tuning their antennas toward alignment. The collective field transforms not through noise, but through resonance. Think about walking into a room where someone carries calm energy. Instantly your body relaxes. You didn't exchange words, yet their coherence reorganized your frequency. That's the resonance field at work. The opposite is also true. When someone's trapped in contraction and static, the tension spreads like smoke. This shows us the power of embodiment. Your private alignment becomes a public signal. Every choice you make in presence strengthens or weakens the collective field. Consider family dynamics. When one person breaks a cycle, choosing trust over fear, intuition over logic, the whole system shifts. Children breathe easier. Partners soften. Old arguments lose energy. This isn't magic, it's quantum resonance. By tuning into your sovereignty, you reorganize the field for everyone connected to you. Transformation never happens in isolation. Your future self isn't calling just for your benefit, it's calling through you as service to the collective. Workplaces reflect this too. One leader who embodies coherence can transform an entire team. Meetings flow differently, creativity sparks, static dissolves. The opposite is easy to spot as well. A single person's fear can paralyze progress. This is why attention and presence matter. Every breath of alignment you bring is an offering to the collective mirror. The divine doesn't separate individual and group. It's one resonance field, vibrating through every body as antenna. Even strangers feel this. A smile on the street, an act of kindness, a grounded presence. It ripples into unseen places. Someone's day shifts, then they pass it forward. The resonance field multiplies through invisible connections. What looks like a small action is quantum transformation because it reorganizes the energy web that binds us. Your soul whispers, every step in coherence serves the planet. The future self isn't isolated, it's collective embodiment in action. Here's something practical. Next time you're overwhelmed, pause and breathe, not just for yourself, but for everyone who will feel your energy afterward. Notice the contraction release, the expansion return. That moment isn't private, it's a signal sent into the resonance field. Gratitude, presence, alignment, they travel. The more you embody them, the more they shape the collective frequency. This is sovereignty as service, transformation as shared vibration. It's humbling to realize that even your struggles contribute. Every time you surrender to chaos, find trust in pain, or expand through contraction, you carve a path in the collective field. Others, walking behind you, find it easier. Your healing echoes. Your choices create invisible architecture that others step into. That's why the call of the future self feels so urgent. It's not just for you, it's for the whole resonance field waiting to be tuned. And this opens the greatest question yet. If your life is a signal, if your body is an antenna shaping the collective mirror, what happens when we begin to live not as isolated beings, but as extensions of a divine frequency organizing reality itself? If you've made it this far, you're no longer on the outside looking in. You've already crossed into transition. The question is no longer, can I do this? But what's still keeping me from answering the call right now? Inside each of us lives the Dragon Guard, a force that watches over the portals of change, testing those who stand at the threshold. Not to block them, but to protect them until they are ready. And here you are, the signals you've felt, the resonance in your body, the whispers of intuition. These are not accidents. They are proof that you are already standing at the gate. The truth is, you are not waiting for the portal. You are the portal. If you felt this video was a call, comment below, I heard it. Let this be your first act of embodiment, your declaration of alignment. Like the breath that shifts contraction into expansion, your words carry energy into the field, and don't keep this frequency to yourself. Share this video with someone who you know is also hearing the whispers of their future self. Hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the signals waiting to guide you. For your next step, Don't stop here. On the final screen, choose the next video waiting for you. It's not just content, it's the continuation of your resonance. Because once you tune in, once you hear the call, the journey doesn't end. It's only just beginning.